But wait, there is an alternate ending. For those who are offended by life's cruelty, there is an alternate ending. Ivan Ilyich Chelyakov arrived home, took off his coat, lay down on the sofa, and inherited 5 million rubles. There's not much point to it, but it is uplifting. I assure you, it is not my intention to make life any harsher than it really is. But some of us are indeed trapped. Witness the predicament of a young governess who cares for and educates the children of a well-to-do family.
Julia!
Trapped indeed.
Julia!
Yes, madame?
Look at me, child. Pick up your head. I like to see your eyes when I speak to you.
Yes, madame.
And how are the children coming along in their French lessons?
They're very bright children, madame.
They're bright, you say. Well, why not? And mathematics? They're doing well in mathematics, I assume.
Yes, ma'am, especially Vanya.
Certainly, I knew it. I excelled in mathematics. He gets that from his mother, wouldn't you say?
Yes, ma'am.
Head up! That's it. Don't be afraid to look people in the eyes, my dear. If you think of yourself as inferior, that's exactly how people will treat you.
Yes, ma'am.
A quiet girl, aren't you? Now then, let's settle our accounts. I imagine you must need money, though you never asked me for it yourself. Let's see, we agreed upon 30 rubles a month, did we not?
40, ma'am.
No, 30. I made a note of it. I always pay my governesses 30. Who told you 40?
You did, ma'am. I spoke to no one else concerning money.
Impossible. Maybe you thought you heard 40 when I really said 30. If you kept your head up, that would never happen. Look at me again, and I'll say it clearly. 30 rubles a month.
If you say so, ma'am.
Well, certainly I say so. 30 a month it is. Now then, you've been here 2 months exactly.
2 months and 5 days.
No, exactly 2 months. I made a note of it. You should really keep books the way I do. That way, there wouldn't be these discrepancies.
Yes, ma'am.
So, we have 30 a month at 2 months comes to 60 rubles, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Subtract 9 Sundays. We did agree to subtract Sundays, did we not?
No, ma'am.
Think.
No, ma'am.
You weren't thinking. Your eyes were wandering. Look straight at my face and look hard. Do you remember now?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't hear you, Julia.
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll deduct it. Now, you have been here for 2 months with 3 holidays, correct?
No, 2, ma'am. Christmas and New Year's.
And your birthday, that's 3.
But I worked on my birthday, ma'am.
You did, but there was no need to. My governesses never work on their birthdays.
But I did work, ma'am.
But that's not the question, Julia. We're discussing financial matters now. I will, however, only count 2 holidays if you insist.
I did work, ma'am.
Then you do insist.
No, ma'am.
Very well. Julia, if you would please. So, we'll subtract 3 holidays, which comes to 12 rubles. Now then, 4 days, little Kolya was sick and there were no lessons.
But I gave lessons to Vanya.
True, but I engaged you to teach 2 children, not 1. Should I pay you in full for only half the work?
No, ma'am.
So we'll deduct it. Now, 3 days, you had a toothache and my husband gave you permission not to work after lunch.
After 4. I worked until 4.
I have here did not work after lunch. We have lunch at 1 and are finished at 2, not at 4. Correct?
Yes, ma'am, but I...
So that's 7 rubles off. 7 and 12 is 19. Subtract leaves 41, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Now then, on January 4th, you broke a teacup and a saucer. Is that true?
Just the saucer, ma'am.
Well, what good is a teacup without a saucer? That's 2 rubles. The saucer was an heirloom. It cost much more, but let it go. I'm used to taking losses.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now then, on January 9th, Kolya climbed a tree and tore his jacket.
I forbid him to do so, ma'am.
But he didn't listen, did he? That's 10 rubles. January 16th, Vanya's shoes were stolen.
By the maid, ma'am. You just charge her yourself.
But you get paid good money to watch everything. I explained that in our first meeting. Perhaps you weren't listening that day. Were you listening that day, Julia? Or was your head in the clouds?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, your head was in the clouds.
No, ma'am, I was listening.
So we'll deduct it. Now then, January 16th, I also gave you 10 rubles.
You didn't.
But I made a note of it. Why would I make a note of giving it to you if I did not?
I don't know, ma'am.
That's not a satisfactory answer, Julia. Why would I make a note of giving you 10 rubles if I did not, in fact, give it to you? No answer. Then I must have given it to you, mustn't I?
If you say so, ma'am.
Well, certainly I say so. That's the point of this little talk, to clear these matters up. So we take 27 off 41 leaves 14, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What's this? Tears? Are you crying? Has something made you unhappy, Julia? Please, do tell me. It pains me to see you like this. I'm so sensitive to tears. What is it?
Only once since I've been here have I ever been given any money, and that was by your husband. On my birthday, he gave me 3 rubles.
Really? There's no note of it in my book. I'll put it down now. 3 rubles. Thank you for telling me, dear. Sometimes I can be a little lax in my accounts, always shortchanging myself. So, we take 3 more off 14, leaves 11. Do you wish to check my figures?
There's no need to, ma'am.
Well, then we're all settled. Here's your salary for 2 months, dear. 11 rubles. Count it.
It's not necessary, ma'am.
Come, come. Let's keep the record straight. Count it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's only 10.
Are you certain? Perhaps you dropped one? Look on the floor, see if there's a coin there.
I didn't drop one, ma'am. I'm quite sure.
Well, it's not here on my desk, and I know I gave you 11 rubles. Look on the floor.
It's all right, ma'am. 10 rubles will be fine.
Well, keep the 10 for now, and if we don't find it on the floor later, we'll discuss it again next month.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. You're very kind, ma'am.
Julia, come back here. Why did you thank me?
For the money, ma'am.
For the money. But don't you realize what I've done? I've cheated you, robbed you. I have no such notes in my book. I made up whatever came to mind. Instead of the 80 rubles which I owe you, I gave you only 10. I have actually stolen from you, and still you thank me. Why?
In the other places I've worked, they didn't give me anything at all.
Then they cheated you worse than I did. I was playing a little joke on you, a cruel lesson just to teach you. You're much too trusting, and in this world, that's very dangerous. I'm going to give you the entire 80 rubles. It's all ready for you here in this envelope. Take it.
As you wish, ma'am.
Julia, is it really possible to be so spineless? Why don't you protest? Why don't you speak up? Why don't you cry out against this cruel and unjust treatment? Is it really possible to be so guileless, so innocent, pardon me for being so blunt, such a simpleton?
Yes, ma'am. It's possible.